hill built for 1,000, forced to carry lakhs.
Instead of lightening the footprint, you have allowed people to actually get into every nook and corner of the Himalayas.
Careless travel, choking hills. If we don't change now, there won't be much left to enjoy.
We need to follow the Bhutan model, regulate people who can access hills.
News9 presents Heal the Hills, continuous coverage.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Hello and welcome to News9, and you are watching On Point. I'm Kartikeya Sharma, and we have two On Points lined up for you today. In On Point 1, we tell you how Iran continues to pulverize energy sector across Gulf, puncturing hole in US narrative that they have won the war. In On Point 2, we dive deep into the LPG crisis that's gripping the entire country. Are we prepared for a prolonged energy disruption? Now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Ministry of External Affairs confirms India receiving requests from neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Maldives and Sri Lanka for petrol and diesel supplies. Ministry says request is being reviewed. Decision to be taken only after considering India's availability and needs. MEA says there are 9,000 Indians in Iran. Several locations shifted to safer locations like Armenia and Azerbaijan as helplines set up for citizens acquiring assistance. IAF Chief Air Marshal AP Singh flies MiG-29 solo sortie. IAF Chief reviews operational preparedness at Western Air Command. TVK holds protest near Chennai District Collector's office in Paris Corner, demanding caste census and against the law and order situation in the state. Rajendra Viswanath Arlekar assumes additional charge as Tamil Nadu Governor. Arlekar assumes his gubernatorial office at Lok Bhavan in Chennai. Karnataka government considers hiking ration card income limit as costs rise. At present, the family's annual income has to be below rupees 1.2 lakh to be identified as priority household. Viral internet sensation Mona Lisa marries boyfriend Farman Khan in Kerala temple amid police protection. The Iran war is now beginning to threaten the world's most critical energy routes. Tehran has escalated missile and drone strikes on energy and transport infrastructure across the Gulf. Commercial ships navigating these waters have come under attack. Key ports and energy hubs are under attack. The escalation from Iran's side comes when Trump is trying to manufacture a military victory for its audience back home by saying that they have already achieved the objectives of war. But the continued strikes across the Gulf suggest a very different reality on ground. Fuel storage tanks have been stuck on Muharraq Island in Bahrain and at Salah port in Oman. In a separate incident, tankers were also attacked near Al-Faw in Iraq. And right now as we speak, Iran's supreme leader has also broken his silence. He has thanked the fighters of the resistance front, describing them as Iran's best friends. Khamenei says that Iran will seek compensation from enemies or destroy their assets accordingly. Iran's supreme leader Mujtaba Khamenei says resistance front is an inseparable part of the Islamic revolution values. In this fast developing story, where the new leader has all broken his silence, Former Deputy NSA Pankaj Saran describes the current situation as the perfect storm, especially in India's context.
Where will Iran be? Where will the region be? So this is, in a sense, everything put together. Unpredictable, unstable, unknown, lack of transparency, and at the same time our core interests are involved: energy, diaspora, remittances, militarization, the threat from missile proliferation, nuclear proliferation. I mean, this whole business of the Saudi-Pakistan Defense Pact. So everyone's posturing, everyone's trying to hedge. So this is the ultimate quagmire for India.
The region hosts some of the most powerful American naval deployments in the world, yet attacks on commercial shipping have continued despite this heavy military presence. These incidents directly challenge the narrative that Iran's ability to threaten regional trade routes has already been neutralized. Former diplomat Kanwal Sibal says Trump is delusional and the US may have badly misread both scale of the conflict and Iran's national psyche.
He entered into this war thinking that it will be a quick thing like in Venezuela. He just killed the head of state. In that case, they abducted Maduro and the regime will collapse. And since they'll see the might of the US Army, the aircraft carriers and everything else surrounding Iran, that Iran would collapse. I think there's very serious misjudgment. They haven't understood the psychology, the mentality, and the ideological basis of Iran as a country. It's not a walkover like in other cases. There's a strong sense of nationalism, even if there's dissent in Iran, strong sense of nationalism, commitment to the country, and then their system has been built over the years in such a way.
At the center of this tension lies the Strait of Hormuz that connects the Persian Gulf to the global ocean. Iran has effectively begun enforcing what looks like a lethal control zone in this critical passage. Iranian naval commanders have warned that the ships must obtain Tehran's approval before attempting to cross the strait. Traffic through the waterway has slowed significantly as shipping companies reassess the risks. The signal from Tehran is unmistakable. While the strait may legally be international water, you cannot do business by pushing out Iran. Nearly 20 million barrels of oil move through this narrow waterway every single day. That accounts for roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply and almost a quarter of global seaborne oil trade. In addition to crude oil, the strait also serves as a crucial route for LNG shipment coming out of the Gulf. In simple terms, a large portion of the world's energy lifeline passes through this one narrow corridor. Any disruption here, even a temporary one, could ripple across global fuel markets, shipping routes and supply chains. But the moot issue is that the war cannot be over when America decides. India's former foreign secretary says that Iran is right in demanding guarantees as America is the aggressor.
The United States is the aggressor, United States and Israel have violated the territorial integrity and sovereignty of another country, which has not attacked them before. They have attacked them. And therefore, I don't think we should try and sort of, balance our relationship with one side or the other side. The victim here is Iran. And therefore, if there is a Iranian view that having undergone such terrible, assault, military assault, they should at least have some assurance that once this war stops, they are not going to get attacked again. So the demand for some assurances, the demand for some kind of, security guarantees is something which I think is a very legitimate demand.
Continued strikes across the Gulf also appear to contradict earlier claims from Washington that the war had already been decisively won. Instead, the conflict seems to be entering a more dangerous phase. The question is on whose term the war will end. With Gulf countries under attack, will they be able to create pressure on US or will unite against Iran? How long can Iran sustain this war? Lastly, will this be America's Vietnam of this century? On this issue, I'm joined by Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former Indian diplomat, Major General Sudhakarji. My first question is to General Sudhakarji. Sudhakar ji, Mujtada Khamenei has broken his silence. He has very categorically said, as expected, that Iran is not going to bow down, and he says we have put a place and plan to manage the current situation, especially after the event in the Strait of Hormuz. And he also says that resistance front is an inseparable part of the Islamic revolution's values. Did Trump misread Iran?
Good evening, Kartike. Thank you for inviting me for your show. And my greetings to very distinguished and accomplished diplomat, and best wishes to your viewers. Short and quick answer to your question is yes, it did. And before going in for the military offensive or any kind of operation, a nation should be very clear about its objective. Donald Trump neither thought about the political objective, nor has he or his advisors and the military leadership has applied themselves and given out the military objective, neither political nor military objective. So therefore, to answer your question very briefly, that he did miscalculate, misjudge, underestimated the enemy, which is an anathema in the military science world over. Back to you, Kartike.
Okay. Ambassador Dayal, your opening comments on what Mujtaba has said, friends with neighbors targeting US bases. He basically is saying that we are going to get back, we are going to hit this energy infrastructure.
Yes, indeed. And one very important part of his statement is that the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed. Now, that is something that is of great significance because the energy supplies from the Gulf countries go through the Strait of Hormuz. And his insistence that this will remain closed, the Strait of Hormuz, this is very significant because, you know, it raises certain questions over whether Iran will continue to allow Indian vessels to transit through the Strait of Hormuz. You know, our foreign minister had spoken to the Iranian foreign minister, and after that, Iran had said it would permit Indian vessels to go through, and 2 of our vessels have already gone through the Strait of Hormuz. But about 28 vessels are still there. And these are very crucial for energy supplies to us. Now, if the Supreme Leader says that the Strait will remain closed, then it's a matter of concern unless he too agrees to give an exemption to Indian vessels. So I'm really anxious to see if there's any clarification that comes in this regard, because we were relieved when Indian vessels were allowed to go through and that it was categorically said that there would be permission granted for them. Now, one more thing. His statement is one which is of defiance to the United States. He's categorically said that US bases will be attacked. And while there had been some sort of expectation that after the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, along with some of his top leaders, top military generals, Iran would cave in. But that has not happened. Iran appears more determined. It has regrouped, and Mujtaba Khamenei appears to be very much the sort of person who can head Iran in this difficult situation and will continue to ensure that his country resists the United States and Israel in their invasion. So I don't think that we can expect any let-up in the hostilities in the foreseeable future.
Basically, sir, if I go by your analysis, Iran has actually punctured Trump's drill baby drill promise on US gas prices. Iran has actually punctured a big hole in context of what the American Navy can do. I mean to say the sort of an asymmetrical warfare we see deployed in the Gulf, which is creating a lot of pain globally, is also challenging certain military and political doctrines of the United States of America that Trump is deploying or has deployed in last 1 year?
Well, Iran had prepared very significantly for another American and Israeli onslaught. Because in June last year, it had received a very severe sort of bashing, but had been able to resist it. Nonetheless, there had been a very large-scale destruction. And what had happened was that the Americans and the Israelis thought that they can pummel Iran again and that they can have their way. But Iran had regrouped. It had rebuilt its defenses, and there are reports that it had received some equipment and missiles from China and from Russia. So it was able to rebuild its defense capabilities, and it has shown in the present conflict that it has the ability to strike back. So for this reason, I don't think that the Americans and the Israelis will have their way as they thought that they would. And although they are militarily very strong, perhaps much, much stronger than Iran is, but nonetheless, Iran is no walkover, and it is putting up a very big fight to the surprise of the Americans.
General Sudhakarji, do you think that this can turn out to be the Vietnam of this century for America, if I may use the word Vietnam? And secondly, on whose term will the war end now? Because everyone needs an exit clause, everyone needs to be a victor.
Absolutely.
Unless and until, if I may correct myself, there's a Treaty of Versailles, you force your terms on the losers, like First World War.
No, the last part I would discount outrightly because neither of the stakeholders have the ability to force their will on the opponent.
Okay.
It works either way. Iran has neither the capability nor the USA and Israel. Both have their handicaps. So when I talk about handicaps, the mind goes to the game of golf. So it's not the game of golf. It's not that easy, put your head down. Unfortunately, Donald Trump doesn't know how to keep his head down. That is the biggest dilemma in the world order today. So coming back to the question per se, in my opinion, in multiple platforms, international and national platform, right from day one, I have been saying, because people haven't joined the dots. I have written a number of articles. I shared them with you also. I had forecast the attack took place on 28th February. I had written an article on 21st February that Donald Trump is getting into a trap laid by Netanyahu. You will find it difficult to wriggle out. So therefore, that is a clear indication that they're stepping into a minefield of Vietnam 2. Vietnam 2 is going to manifest in a different form. And that different form has started. That different form is change of alliance, reduction of dependencies of the Arabic nations. The very fact that the Arabic nations thought that perhaps the American presence would give them protection, instead of protecting them, they have actually attracted the missiles and the projectiles and the drones. Their whole life, the life and the ecosystem of survival is at stake. So what good is America's Patriot missile if they are actually turning out to be big targets? Therefore, there is a coalition which is emerging now. It may not have come out in the open media. In a couple of days, it will come out that Qatar, Kuwait, UAE and Saudi Arabia, they have already decided to pull out their $3 to $4 trillion invested in USA, in infrastructure, in energy, in pharmaceutical, in science and technology, in innovation, healthcare, insurance, etc., and it is likely to take place in about a month's time, maybe 3 months' time. When that happens, it is going to be the biggest jolt. It is going to be a new normal of Vietnam War that was experienced by kinetic means and going in for carpet bombing. This time, the carpet bombing is going to be done by the economic depravity, which is going to be imposed at a heavy prohibitive cost on America. And also let me, through your channel, give you an indication. European Union countries, many of us may not be knowing, they have $10 trillion worth of investment in USA. They have made up the mind. They have got together. They are very grudgingly, unwillingly, they one after another, they have come to the side of USA. Somebody is giving the base, which was denied initially. Somebody is providing tanks. Somebody has started moving the aircraft carrier. This was not a forthright response after what they had gone through, after the tariff, after the Greenland, and thereafter some new dimension was emerging. So new normal will come up. Suddenly, you find the groups and the alliances will split in no time, like the way it happened in First and Second World War. Take your mind back to the polycentric dimension of the world order at that point in time. Same Germany which signed a war, an agreement of no war pact with the Soviet Union. Over the day, maybe in 2 to 3 days, 48 hours or little more than that, same Germany was attacking Russia or the Soviet Union. That is the kind of smallest example I could give. Third and most important thing you asked me is about Vietnam and where is it going to head to? It is going to head in the direction of Iran being left as it is. One, USA will abandon its ambition because it's turning out to be cost prohibitive from the human angle, from the military angle, because they're down to the lowest level of strategic reserve with regard to the interceptors, with regard to the Patriot missiles, with regard to the Tomahawk. Every Patriot they fire here will deny them those many numbers.
Sudhakarji, is it correct that the USS Abraham Lincoln has been moved out of the theatre?
Of course, where is the doubt? Where is the doubt? They are actually managing the media in such a way. It has gone back. It was earlier 600 to 800 kilometers away from the coastline. It is at least, if not more, at least 30 kilometers away from that, or maybe 1,000 kilometers. The latest I have got is, just a minute, I'll tell you. 1,030 kilometers, 1,030 kilometers from the coastline. Why is it so? Because Iran has started started launching those missiles which are covering the sphere of conflict zone within the range. They've started deploying the cruise missile. They've started deploying the Fatah Series 2 hypersonic missile. They can penetrate through the Iron Dome, small or big, yes or no. They can easily hit. And let me also tell you one thing, Kartikeya, without meaning to exaggerate. I am prepared to correct myself through your channel if I am wrong. The Abraham Lincoln has been hit by more than one ballistic missile of Israel. Their command, control, communication equipments have gone totally, they have been dysfunctional. They have the transponder. Every ship has got a transponder. This is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier with so many aircraft, they have lost communication for more than 6 hours. These things, Pentagon is not going to give up.
I agree with you that, the 3 aircraft carriers, Gerald Ford, USS Abraham Lincoln, and the third one which they have deployed, I think Eisenhower, if I'm correct, they have not been actively pressed in the military duties. Most of the operations are being done by B-1 and B-2s that are not deployed on the aircraft carriers. Those are being operated from Jordan and other areas. But coming back to the larger political issue, when Iran says, Ambassador Dayal, that the Strait of Hormuz will be closed and Americans need to, shut their bases, what do we deduce from it, sir?
Well, it only sends out a signal that as far as Iran is concerned, it is prepared for the escalation. And this escalation is going to damage everybody's interests, including India. The Russia-Ukraine war has gone on for 4 years, and its effects have been very, very serious. The Gaza war has gone on for 2.5 years. Now, if we also have a war of this nature in West Asia between the US and Israel on one side and Iran on the other, and the war spreading to other regions, the entire Arab Gulf and Jordan and of course Lebanon, then the effects are going to be very, very dangerous. Now it is extremely important from my point of view and from the diplomatic point of view, interactions, that India can play a role along with like-minded countries in trying to get some sort of a solution to this crisis. Some sort of backstage diplomacy.
Ambassador, I really need to ask this to you. Do you think soft power works with hard power in situations like these? A lot of people say that ultimately hard powers prevail. Does it work, sir?
The continuation of the war is not in the interest of the United States, and nor is it in the interest of Iran. Of course, Israel feels that it's a golden opportunity for it to carry out a very, very big strike on Iran and weaken Iran's ability to pose any existentialist threat to Israel. But nonetheless, Israel can only do so as long as it has the full backing and military support from the United States. But the United States is beginning to feel the pressure and beginning to feel the costs. And therefore, there is some room for backstage diplomacy for countries like India to talk to both sides, both the warring parties, and make them realize that it is in their interest to find a way out of this war and to have a solution worked out. Of course, it'll have to be a give and take kind of solution. No solution is going to be such that it pleases both sides. But if this war can be ended, it will be something that will be good for everybody. And that is what dialogue and diplomacy are all about. India has been